Crews in Colorado are desperately searching for one Etowah man. Family members told search crews this man, James Pruitt, went for a solo hiking trip at the Rocky Mountain Trails last week.
Because of the significant snowfall we've had and the bitter cold temperatures, we are becoming more and more concerned for his well-being.
Thursday, February 28, 2019, 9:48 in the morning. A security camera inside a Safeway grocery store in Estes Park, Colorado, captures a man walking through the exit doors. Blue jacket, red hat, microspikes clipped to his hiking boots. He looks calm. He looks prepared. He looks like a man who knows exactly where he is going. That footage, those 11 seconds of ordinary grocery store surveillance, is the last confirmed image of James Pruitt that exists anywhere on Earth. He walked out of that Safeway. He drove to a trailhead 9 miles up Bear Lake Road. He parked his car at 9,240 feet above sea level. And he walked into Rocky Mountain National Park, alone in the dead of winter without telling a single person on Earth where he was going. That was a Thursday. Nobody reported him missing until Sunday. By then, 2 feet of snow had already fallen. And in 6 years of searching, across 15 square miles of frozen wilderness, not one clue has ever been found. Not one. But before we get into today's case, if you're the kind of person who finds themselves down a rabbit hole at 2 a.m. reading cold case files and NPS missing persons bulletins, you are exactly in the right place. That's all we do here. So hit subscribe and turn on notifications because we drop new cases every week. If you're new here, this is where the trail goes cold. Let's get into it. To understand what happened to James Pruitt, you first need to understand where James Pruitt came from. Etowah, Tennessee sits in the eastern foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, a small community of about 3,600 people nestled near the Cherokee National Forest, where hundreds of hiking trails, for major rivers, and the ancient ridgeline of Star Mountain frame the edges of daily life. It is a town built by people who understood the outdoors, who grew up with it outside their window, who respected it. James Pruitt was 70 years old in the winter of 2019. He lived in Etowah his whole life. By all accounts, he was a quiet, independent man, the kind of man who didn't need company to feel content, who found something in the mountains that other people found in crowded rooms. And every winter, for 3 consecutive years, James Pruitt did the same thing. He packed a bag. He got in his car. And he drove approximately 900 miles northwest alone to Rocky Mountain National Park in Colorado. Not a group trip, not a guided tour. A 70-year-old man, alone in winter, driving 900 miles to a park that sits above 9,000 feet in conditions that experienced mountaineers approach with serious caution. He had done it before. He knew this park. He had hiked in the Bear Lake area numerous times across those visits. This was not a man who wandered into the wilderness by accident. Rocky Mountain National Park in February was not a mistake for James Pruitt. It was a destination, a deliberate choice, a place that meant something to him that nobody else fully understood. He arrived in the Rocky Mountain National Park area on February 22, 2019. He had 6 days of hiking behind him by the time he walked out of that Safeway on February 28th. 6 days of trails, 6 days of cold, clear winter air, 6 days of doing exactly what James Pruitt loved to do. And then came the 7th day. The Glacier Gorge Trailhead sits at 9,240 feet above sea level, tucked at the end of Bear Lake Road, one of the most popular corridors in Rocky Mountain National Park during the summer months. In February, it is something else entirely. The road requires a fee area permit. The parking lot serves a fraction of its summer visitors. On February 28, 2019, conditions at the trailhead were what any experienced winter hiker would recognize as demanding but passable. Packed snow on the main trails, cold but clear skies in the morning hours. The kind of day that looks manageable from the parking lot. From the Glacier Gorge Trailhead, multiple trails branch outward. Alberta Falls, one of the park's most popular destinations, sits a little over a mile in on packed trail. Beyond it, the terrain opens into the Glacier Gorge drainage, where conditions in February shift dramatically once you leave the maintained corridor. The last known contact James Pruitt had with anyone was approximately 10 minutes after that Safeway footage. A brief communication that confirmed he was in the area. His family stated that they were unaware of his destination for that day. Not which trail, not which lake, not how far he planned to go. And James Pruitt had microspikes, the right equipment for packed ice and groomed winter trail. But microspikes are not crampons. They are not designed for the deep, unconsolidated snow that accumulates in the drainage areas above the main trail corridor. Which raises the question that search and rescue teams would spend 12 days trying to answer. Did James Pruitt stay on the packed trail, or did he go beyond it? Thursday came and went. His family did not hear from him. Friday came and went. Saturday came and went. Not one call. Not one text. Not one update. Now, at what point does silence become an alarm? At what point does a family go from assuming everything is fine to knowing that it isn't? For James Pruitt's family back in Etowah, Tennessee, that moment came on Sunday morning, March 3rd. On March 3rd, U.S. Park Rangers found his vehicle still in the Glacier Gorge Trailhead parking lot. For days after his last known contact. 4 days of his car sitting in that parking lot at 9,240 feet. Unnoticed, unreported, undisturbed. When Rangers ran the plates and contacted his family, the family confirmed what the Rangers already feared. They hadn't heard from him since Thursday morning. When Pruitt's family was contacted, they stated that he had no intentions of staying overnight. He wasn't supposed to be out there for 4 days. He was on a day hike. He packed for a day hike. He had no overnight gear, no camp setup, no plan to sleep in that wilderness. He was going out for a few hours, and he never came back. And then the detail that made every searcher's stomach drop when they first heard it. More than 2 feet of snow had accumulated in the Glacier Gorge area between Thursday, February 28th, and Sunday, March 3rd. 2 feet of snow, fallen across 15 square miles of mountain terrain, covering every trail, every footprint, every piece of evidence that might have told searchers which direction James Pruitt walked. In the 4 days between when James Pruitt disappeared and when anyone started looking, the mountain had already erased him. Search and rescue mobilized immediately. Active search efforts took place March 3rd through March 9th. The overall search area encompassed approximately 15 square miles and included the Glacier Gorge drainage, the Loch Vale drainage, and the Glacier Creek drainage. Searchers fanned out across the terrain in teams: the Glacier Gorge drainage, the Loch Vale drainage, and the Glacier Creek drainage. They searched the Glacier Gorge Trail, the North Longs Peak Trail, the Boulder Brook Trail to the Storm Pass Trailhead, the drainage east of Alberta Falls, the Bear Lake area, Nymph Lake, Dream Lake, Lake Hiaha, Mills Junction, and the Glacier Creek Trail all the way to Bear Lake Road. Approximately 50 Rocky Mountain National Park search and rescue team members were involved. Assisting were Larimer County Search and Rescue, Rocky Mountain Rescue based in Boulder County, Diamond Peak Ski Patrol, Douglas County Search and Rescue, Alpine Rescue Team, numerous dog teams, and the Colorado Search and Rescue Association. On March 5th, a State of Colorado multi-mission aircraft conducted fixed-wing aerial reconnaissance over Sky Pond, Lake Hiaha, Flat Top Mountain, and Bierstadt Lake. And yet, off the packed trails, searchers were encountering chest-deep snow in numerous areas. Wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour were predicted, along with additional snowfall, making it tough to find any clues to where Pruitt may be. Every step forward required searchers to physically force themselves through terrain that didn't want to be searched. The mountain was fighting back. On March 15th, it was announced that the broad-scale search for Pruitt had officially been suspended. 12 days after it began, smaller teams continued through the summer, focused in off-trail areas in the Prospect Canyon drainage and the Glacier Gorge drainage above Jewel Lake. Grid searches through thick timber, dead and down trees, thick willow, tall grass, and mountain streams. Throughout the summer, Smaller teams focus specific search efforts in other segments of the search area. Unfortunately, no clues have been found. No clues. In 15 square miles. With 50 trained searchers. With dogs. With aircraft. With months of effort. Nothing. So what happened to James Pruitt? When you strip everything back, you are left with two explanations. Neither one is comfortable. The first, the mountain took him. Picture James Pruitt leaving the Glacier Gorge Trailhead at approximately 10 in the morning. The temperature is in the 20s. The sky is clear. His microspikes bite into the packed snow as he follows the trail toward Alberta Falls, a route he has walked before in this same park in this same season. The first mile is manageable. Other footprints are visible ahead of him. The trail is familiar. And then, somewhere past Alberta Falls, things change. The maintained corridor gives way to backcountry terrain. The snow deepens. The footprints of other hikers thin and eventually disappear. He is above 9,600 feet. The drainage drops away on one side. The temperature falls as the afternoon approaches. And at some point, at some specific moment, no one will ever be able to identify, something goes wrong. A slip on a hidden ice shelf beneath the fresh snow. A moment of disorientation when the trail markers disappear under the accumulation. A fall into one of the drainages, the Glacier Gorge, the lock veil that drops steeply off the main corridor. At that altitude, in that temperature, with no one knowing where to look, the margin for survival is very thin. And the 2 feet of snowfall that followed covered everything. Every sign of where he fell. Every trace of which direction he took. This is the most likely explanation. It is also the most heartbreaking because it means James Pruitt died doing exactly what he loved, in a place he trusted, in conditions he believed he understood. The second theory is harder to say out loud. Go back to the detail planted in section 4. James Pruitt visited this park 3 winters in a row. He knew these trails. He had hiked the Bear Lake corridor numerous times. So why, on his last morning, did he tell nobody where he was going? Not a trail name, not a destination, not even a rough direction. Some people who have followed this case closely raise a harder question. One that his family deserves to have answered honestly. Did James Pruitt go into that wilderness intending to return? There is no evidence pointing to any particular answer. His family has not suggested it publicly. The NPS has not suggested it publicly. But the absence of any communication, the deliberate withholding of any route information, sits at the center of this case like a question nobody knows how to ask out loud. Both explanations are possible. Neither has been proven. And that is exactly where this case has sat for 6 years. James Pruitt was last confirmed seen on February 28, 2019. His case remains officially open with the National Park Service. The NPS has stated that the investigation will continue in hopes of gaining further information as to his plans on the day of his disappearance. Park rangers have specifically requested anyone who was in the Glacier Gorge and Bear Lake areas between February 28 and March 3, or who had any contact with James Pruitt during his earlier hikes that week, to come forward. Pruitt may be wearing a blue jacket, a red or orange hat, and microspikes on his hiking boots. He has never been found. No remains. No personal belongings. No trace. In 6 years, across 15 square miles, the mountain has given nothing back. His family in Etowah, Tennessee is still waiting for answers. And somewhere inside Rocky Mountain National Park, in a drainage on a slope beneath the snow, the answer is still there. Here is what this case asks you to sit with. James Pruitt drove 900 miles alone, 3 winters in a row, to a park he clearly loved. And every time he came home, that kind of self-reliance, the kind that doesn't need a plan posted on a refrigerator, doesn't need a check-in text, doesn't need anyone's permission or attention, is the mark of a man who trusted himself completely in the wilderness. There is something admirable in that. There is also something devastating in it. Because the wilderness, in February, at 9,000 feet above sea level, in a drainage filled with 2 feet of fresh snow and 40-mile-per-hour winds, the wilderness does not negotiate. It does not extend the same trust back. James Pruitt walked into Rocky Mountain National Park on a Thursday morning in a blue jacket and a red hat. He had done it before. He expected to come home, and the mountain kept him. James Pruitt drove 900 miles alone to a park he had loved for 3 winters. He walked out of a grocery store on a Thursday morning in a blue jacket and a red hat. And that is the last image anyone has of him. A man walking toward a mountain he trusted. If you have any information about James Pruitt's case, if you were in the Glacier Gorge or Bear Lake areas between February 28th and March 3rd, 2019, the NPS Investigative Services branch tip line is open 24 hours a day. The number is 1-888-653-0009. You can also submit a tip completely anonymously online. That link is in the description below. His family is still looking. Until next time, stay on the trail.